Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. It's the In Wheel Time car show, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Just ahead, we talk about transmission selection when you're buying a new or used vehicle. You're going to go manual or automatic? The number of speeds? Or should it be a CVT? We'll also have the stories making Automotive News Headlines this week. Howdy. Along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Jeffrey Zekin recovering from his little back surgery procedure, and we miss you, Jeffrey. Please come back.
There's too much stuff going on over here in this corner.
Yeah, clearly, and I don't have my act together, so that's not unusual.
I posted a link to the RPM Act to save our race cars on our Facebook page. So,
good. Thank you.
SEMA's on our side.
By the way, just to make it clear to everyone so you know how the show kind of works mechanically. So Conrad does all of the Facebook stuff. So when you see stuff from us on Facebook, that's him.
Blame me.
It's him. And we love it. And don't stop because I love.
It's fun.
It is fun, and I always learn something. Because
I'm always learning something.
Because I get the feed just like everybody else does, and it's cool. Especially some of those cars that you post. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll throw something on there, but it's not very often.
Well, it's all appreciated,
yeah.
and we love hearing people talk back with us and sharing pictures of their cars as well.
Right. So Conrad takes care of basically the social media stuff. Mr. Mars really kind of gets the guests lined up, and he does all of the mechanics of the show as far as editing video, editing audio, podcasts, everything that you can normally think of that is involved with the show. I don't know what I do.
I get a lot of help from David Ainsley, so let's not leave him out of this mix.
Let's certainly not leave David Ainsley.
And then during the show, Jeff does all of the video switching and then his components of the show as well.
Yeah,
so Jeff's just as important.
So it's a gang effort here. So
really
just,
is.
We don't have a separate producer. We kind of produce it as we go along. So just so you'll know.
And it shows.
Yeah, it definitely shows.
And then we have our Hall of Fame, Broadcasting Hall of Fame talent in Don Armstrong.
Well, I thank you very much for that, but that's not necessarily. It's kind of like going to the principal's office all the time.
All the time.
I did. I know you did. Yeah. Were you ashamed or at all any time? Maybe once or twice?
No, you have to have a conscience before it can feel guilty.
All right, so today we're talking about purchasing a new car or a used car for that matter, and the different components that we think that are very important for you to make an educated decision on spending $20,000 to $100,000 on a car, especially a new car. Mm-hmm. You can spend that on a used car too, especially if you're going to get like something like a '63 split window Corvette,
or some of the exotics.
Yes.
You'll spend
I would consider that an exotic today.
Well, very much so,
yeah.
Very much so.
So anyway, I thought that this segment we would talk about transmissions.
Well, we talked about engines last one. We might as well talk about trannies this one.
And the interesting part about it used to be it was a manual 3-speed shifted on the column or on the floor, or it was a 2-speed automatic slush-o-matic, as we used to call it.
Or the hot rod was the 4 on the floor.
4 on the floor, which was all the hot ticket, and that's what you had to have. I kind of got that in the Corvette, but it's a 6-speed with 2 overdrives. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway, so what do you choose? A manual, if you can find them.
Are very hard to find today.
Yes, they are.
Think about the new Corvette, the C8. I don't even think offers a manual.
No, there's no manual transmission.
Dual clutch transmission.
But I have to tell you that, and I have driven some of these dual clutch paddle shifted cars, and those that are performance cars, that shift happens so much faster than I could ever shift it.
Oh man, you talk about shift happening,
and it's precise.
And I think that I kind of perfected, in my own mind anyway, how to speed shift a manual transmission. I've been practicing for a very long time, and I've gotten pretty good at it. I don't really usually brag about myself, but I can speed shift a car pretty good. But it ain't near that good.
Right.
Oh, no.
And so, as a matter of fact, at my age now, when I get out of the Corvette after a day's drive, my left knee hurts.
Working the clutch?
Working the clutch. And I never thought that it would be
traffic. Oh, man.
Yeah. But I usually don't get stuck in traffic. But at any rate.
You've got to look for a manual transmission today.
Yes, you do.
You know, they're really not out there in
talk
any
about
volume.
A theft deterrent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, buddy. Matter of fact, I think, was it you that somebody posted a deal on Facebook that it said it was a still photograph of a valet, and it says, no manual transmissions allowed.
Yep.
But at any rate, so let's talk about automatics and the difference in a standard automatic transmission today. Now they're up to 10 speeds of automatic transmission. Now, you may think that, oh, well, that's got to work really well. Not necessarily. And in my opinion, if you have a lower horsepowered car, it's almost self-defeating if you want to have a nice, smooth transmission that goes through the gears, because there are certain speeds that you go down the highway in, and especially, let's say 65, 75 miles an hour.
Cruise control set,
that it will jump down 1 or 2 gears when you're going over an overpass, and it drives me insane. Now, with a big V8 engine, it's got the power behind it,
torque behind
and
it. Generally
speaking, it doesn't downshift as much.
It may go down 1 gear, but it's not going to go down 3, and then all of a sudden you go from 1,700 RPM to 4,000 RPM just because the vehicle wants to maintain speed.
It is absolutely annoying, to say the least. That's the best word that I can use for it. So there are advantages and there are disadvantages with all automatic transmissions. To me, I think that a good general overall automatic transmission is a 6-speed automatic transmission.
Which is very popular out there, but 6 speeds are kind of going away.
They are.
You know, they're moving. You know, GM has moved to the 8. Mercedes has moved to the 8 and 9s.
Stellantis is sitting up at 8. Mm-hmm. And I happen to like the 8s real well. But that's behind the 5.7 Hemi.
Right. It's got torque.
Right.
Yes.
If you got a V6, it changes the whole parameters that are set
when it shifts.
It's different. And I know that at the factory that they change shift points when they're putting it in a V8 or a V6 or a 4-cylinder. All of that changes, and the shift points change, and the way that it actually operates, it changes. And I think that, for me anyway, if I'm shopping for a new car, I am definitely going to look at the engine and the transmission, because for the most part, they have to work together and not fight one another.
Synchronous.
Correct. And smoothness, because if you've got a 10-speed automatic transmission and you couple it with a 250 horsepower 4-cylinder car, it's going to hunt gears all day long. And depending on who makes the transmission and what car it's in and the way that the computer is set up, it will drive you insane, or you won't even notice it.
Right.
And so I think that it's extremely important.
And then because automatic transmissions, as much as people don't want to admit this, have a life cycle. You know, they're only going to last so long if you don't maintain them. If you do maintain them, you can make them last longer, but they still only last so long. And not that it's a wear item, but it's a wear item.
Well, it's a wear item.
It's a wear item. So, you know, now as you go from the 4 speeds to the 6 speeds to the 8 speeds to the 10 speeds, each step has increased the price of servicing and maintaining.
Have you seen the size of those 10 speeds?
Oh my gosh, they're
bigger than the motor.
Table. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's because you got 3 planetary sets in them.
Yeah, and that's why you see them in the bigger trucks and stuff primarily, because they've got the room to put them in there.
Well, and it's all about fuel economy. The manufacturers are
that's
trying
true.
to get some kind of fuel economy now that trucks are included in the EPA rating. There was a point in time where, pickup trucks weren't included in EPA rating. Now they are. So, when you're talking 10-speed, 8-speed even, you've got 4 overdrive gears in that vehicle. So your final overdrive may be as low as 0.5.
But you're
to
basing
1.
it on a manual or 4-speed transmission.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Good.
had 1 overdrive gear.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because, it really depends on how you want to look at it, whether it's an overdrive or that's just the drive.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The
these
final
days.
drive.
So the other thing is CVT transmissions. And I was thinking about this when I wrote this down. I thought, CVT transmissions. When's the last time you had a new car to review that you got a CVT transmission in the car? I think that it was just a passing thing because I don't see very many CVTs anymore.
Everything at Nissan is a CVT. Everything at Nissan is a CVT.
But that's
most everything at Subaru is a CVT.
Is it?
Oh yeah, they still offer a manual transmission in their hot rod, but most everything at Subaru is a CVT. Toyota Priuses are all CVTs from day one to today, so they're all CVTs.
Well, maybe it's just that I'm not getting them. But,
Well, I think some of what's happened is they've recognized.
the truck that I had from Nissan just recently, it did not.
full-size trucks
Well,
are
no,
a different
but
world.
I think that
yeah.
goes to the size of the
Is it too loud?
way too loud. It's giving me a headache. The size of the vehicle, I think,
Right.
it's got something to
Well,
do with it.
that's
Because here
completely
lately,
off
you've been
there.
getting full-size type vehicles, the trucks, the Tahoes, and things like that. So I don't think you're going to run into it there.
But a Pathfinder has a CVT in it at Nissan, and that's a fair size SUV.
I think that's considered mid-size for
Right.
them. Yeah, but it's not like a full-size suburban or type vehicle that you've been driving. That's what I'm saying.
But again, the CVT, they're out there, but what the manufacturers recognized is people want to feel a shift point. And they have done that. Nissan did that in about
Yes.
2014.
Yes, they did.
They've added what feels like a shift point so you can feel that gear advance. And in a CVT, there really is there's no
gear.
gearing. It's just 2 cones and a belt, and you move the
Right.
belt on the cones
It's
to get
just
your
so wrong on every
continuously
level.
variable transmission.
I know.
Yeah.
Snowmobile, chainsaw, all somewhat similar in functionality.
Yep.
But with that, you can get decent fuel economy and decent power, and
Well,
kind
that's
of
where you
put
pick
both
up
of them together
a little bit, just like when we were talking about the Ram trucks and how they've got an electric motor that supplements the engine. It's shift points. I mean, it's just a millisecond that it's there and it's engaged, but it keeps that power going. A little bit of gas here, a little bit of gas here.
Well, I will tell you, I think that there's definitely a place for a CVT. And it almost is at the point now when you've got a lower horsepowered car, it just makes more sense to me
Right.
to go for a CVT as opposed to a 10-speed on a 250 horsepower motor. Because then it's always hunting for gears. You don't have to worry about that in a CVT.
Though the CVT hunts for power, you don't notice
hits-
it in the upshifts and
It's always
downshifts.
looking for the sweet spot.
It's always, right. It's always looking to stay in the power band.
Yep.
So that engine, whatever engine it is,
Right.
maybe it makes its most power at 3,400 RPM. Well, the engine will, and sometimes it can feel disconnected. The engine will stay at 3,400 RPM as the vehicle changes speed, but the engine doesn't change speed.
yeah, because there's really only one gear in there per se.
Correct.
No gears to shift.
It's all continuously variable.
Right.
From underdrive to overdrive, it's one.
totally computer driven.
Mm-hmm.
There's no second guessing it. And I can't even remember. They don't have a low 2 and drive with a CVT transmission. It's just drive, isn't it?
Good
I think
question. I don't
I'm
know.
trying to visualize it, and it seems like some of them have some paddle shifters on there so that you can think you're shifting gears.
But again, I think that's where they've added this.
If it's
you
got
can feel a shift
if
point.
it's got a low, I guess that would just strictly be the way it wouldn't advance the cones in there to make it.
either that or it makes it advance later to kind of keep you up in the power RPM.
But the bottom line is that a CVT in many cases is a choice that comes with the car that you may or may not be interested in buying.
You may not have a choice. You may have to take a CVT. Another one where CVT is very popular are minis. Minis, you can still get a manual. You can still get a 6-speed automatic, but a lot of minis are CVTs.
Man, if I had a Mini, the only one that I would have is the manual and a Mini.
The Cooper.
Exactly.
The Cooper, yeah, the Mini Cooper, yeah. I mean, it's just me, but whatever. And then there is, as you mentioned, I forgot, the DCT. So explain to everybody what the DCT is while I let the dog out.
It's a manual transmission that's electronically shifted. So there's literally two clutches. DCT stands for dual clutch transmission. So there's literally two clutches, two physical clutches that are inside the transmission. And some of them are side by side, but most of them are stacked. And what it does is one clutch drives the even gears, the other clutch drives the odd gears. Besides Don being our odd gear, the computer is advancing or retarding the gear ratio based on the drive needs of the driver. But the thing about a dual clutch is when you're hitting it hard, it shifts now. A dual clutch can outshift somebody with a manual transmission all day long, and that's why you see the dual clutch transmissions are a lot of the high performance cars are dual clutch.
But
Corvette is all DCT right now. It's that 8-speed DCT. Lamborghini, Ferrari are all DCT.
Let me just say this, that if you're in the market for a used car, the Ford Focus that was back in the early 2000s, I knew somebody that had a Ford Focus with the dual clutch transmission. What
a pile.
Complete nightmare that was. And as a matter of fact, that person had the car repurchased or purchased back from Ford to give you another car. Still had the same transmission in it, but I think that they had done some manipulating,
upgrading to it,
fixing the transmission. But it was in the shop all the time.
But that goes to early technology. The newness of technology when it comes out, I'm a firm believer in don't buy that first-year car. That car has just been released. Wait a year or two before you buy it.
And that's another thing.
Same with technology, because I'll tell you, CVT transmissions, the early CVT transmissions were horrible.
Yes, they were.
Now they're actually quite good.
So if you do your research when you go to buy a used car, can include that in your decision-making process.
Exactly.
And go back and look and see, was that a first-year model for the CVT transmission? Chances are you don't want that.
Or a lot of the other features, because there are some people, and I know several of them, they want that new one.
Right.
And they don't even think about things like that. It's just,
sometimes they pay the price.
That's right. They do.
It winds up in the shop all the time. Now, I hate this car. Well, but you bought it there's no secret these days with the internet. If people are having problems with it, they're going to diss it big time on the internet all over the place.
And in some cases, they get it right off the bat. But in a lot of cases, they don't.
Well, because part of it's technology, it's evolving. Like we were talking about earlier, things get better over the years because, okay, here's an idea. We built this. Now how can we make it better?
Right. Well, and time and mileage gives them experience on where the weak points of that technology are. So they upgrade it over and over again as they rebuild it the next year.
Bigger, better things.
And, that's been the case in the auto industry forever.
From the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why Henry Ford sold 15 million Model Ts, and they never changed.
How dependable were those cars? How dependable, in today's standards, how dependable were they?
Oh, horrible.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, in today's standards.
In the standards back then, quite dependable, but by today's standards, horrible.
Well, what would go wrong with them?
Well, you'd wear the engine out. You would literally wear an engine out, and I'll go back into the 40s and 50s. You ended up having to rebuild. You didn't hear about people going 100,000 miles on an engine.
Absolutely not.
Now 100, 200, 300, 400,000 miles is not unreasonable. But back then, you were always putting bearings in. That was the nature of what you did. You had to rebuild your motor. You don't rebuild motors.
Because when I think of some of the films that you go back and see cars from the 20s and the 30s with smoke billowing out of the back of it, obviously the rings have been toasted for years.
But that's whenever you could, and I've literally seen this happen. Get underneath it, drop the pan,
put bearings in it.
Put bearings in it, and sometimes pull the pistons out, pop the heads, push the pistons out the top, put rings on it, and shove it back in.
Like a nitro
While
car.
you're doing there, you got half the bearings, you got half the rod loose to change the bearings.
Why not pull the pistons
Do it in the drive.
Of course, there wasn't near as much crap hanging off of the engine back in the day.
No.
It was nothing, and everything was accessible and it was easy to do. I remember that 54 Chevrolet pickup truck. You could stand in the engine bay around the engine. There was so much room in there.
Even with your two-barrel car, your two-carburetor intake manifold on it.
Or how about the Monte Carlo? When that thing came out, remember you could do the same thing. There was so much room up there.
It was almost like a serving bar up there in the front.
It was.
But and as the technology has advanced, the complexity has advanced, and then the government gets involved, and the government says no, it has to meet certain emission standards. When you look at a 70 small block Chevy, very simple motor.
Yep.
Now you look at a 2022 small block Chevy, the LS or the new LT motor.
If you can see it.
Yeah, if you can see it, because it's under so much stuff. All of the fuel injection system, all of the complexities of the emission system and stuff. It's totally different, and it's unbelievably expensive to service and maintain.
Yeah, and extremely complex.
Oh.
Because you do one thing to it, and it changes this over here and this over here.
And turns the check engine light on.
And, and then you've got to chase it down to figure out what in the world has gone wrong.
Yeah. Is it the gas cap isn't tight enough?
It used to
be replaced?
You worry about the vacuum hose off the back of the carburetor because it's rotted hard as a rock back there.
And cracked.
And it sucking in air from the outside. And all it took was just to replace that hose. Not near that easy today.
There was a generation of cars, and I'm going to say probably through the late 80s to the early 90s, that may have had 60 feet of vacuum hose on them.
Yes.
Because they were doing everything vacuum actuated.
Right.
So that, when we talk about used cars, that's something to be concerned with, was what generation of technology was on that car, because those were notorious for brittle vacuum hoses and drivability problems.
Well, I can think of one in particular. I guess it was the 70 Chevy Impala, the Caprice, had 60 feet of vacuum lines, and remember that had the toilet float chain up there. He knows what I'm talking about. Toilet float chain
For the cruise control.
For the cruise control.
Oh, yeah.
And it never failed. Somehow, some way, that little toilet chain thing broke. Well, my cruise controls now.
Or kink up. And
it was crazy. Some of the stuff that they did back in the day.
Ruse goes, the DP6 and a Focus was pure junk. Lawsuit alley.
Yeah, right. So I hope his health is doing well. He's back in the hospital here recently.
I think he's back home.
Yeah, I thought he was home.
Yeah. At any rate, so that's our discussion on the transmissions. Next, we're going to talk about car interiors and why it's important to decide what you want in your car interior when you buy a car, whether it's new or used. All right, time now for some of the stories making auto news headlines this week. We got some recalls to tell you about. Toyota Sequoia and Tundra for 21 and 22. Oil leak may cause a loss of power steering assist. Ram 1500, 2500, 3500 from 21 to 22. Side curtain airbag may deploy improperly.
That'd scare the critters out of you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. As it unfolds in a matter of 1 second as it blows towards your head. Lamborghini Aventador, and I know that we've got a lot of Lamborghini fans that watch and listen to the show. For the 2021 model, the heat exchanger oil lines may detach. That would not be a good thing.
That'd be an expensive day.
That would be. A new motor on that one. Mercedes-Benz EQS 450 580 and the S500 580 from 21 and 22. Infotainment system may cause driver distraction.
Well, the EQS is their EV.
Yeah. Well, I like the cause of the recall. The infotainment system may cause driver distraction.
You think?
How about the cell phone that those people are on all the time?
Texting.
Audi e-tron GT for 2022. The retaining ring on the air suspension struts may loosen. Who comes up with this stuff? I guess they have to self-report, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the Kia Rio for 20 and 21, reduced braking performance. Don't know why. Reduced braking performance also on the Hyundai Accent for 2021. Those are the recalls this week. As you know, this is a kind of a week-old story, but General Motors Chevrolet Corvette plant in Bowling Green down last week for repairs after the tornado started a fire at the plant early Saturday morning, a week ago today. Several tornadoes tore through 6 states Friday and Saturday, killing more than 90 people and causing catastrophic damage. Those poor people. Did you see the destruction?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I'm on a couple of forums with plant employees there in Bowling Green, kind of watching what's going on. And it was really heartwarming to see how people were reaching out, because the path of the tornado was pretty wide, but if you weren't in the path, you didn't have any damage. And hundreds of people getting on those forums saying, hey, look, I got a generator. Hey, look, I got extra rooms. I've got extra cars. Contact me and see what we can do. That, they're doing a lot that they can to help themselves. But, there's things we could do for Christmas. My big... the one I would give to is Samaritan's Purse. If you're looking for somebody to donate to, Samaritan's Purse, because I had very bad experience with Red Cross after Harvey. But the Samaritan's Purse, they were there that next morning setting up tents, feeding people, watering people, bringing transportation and stuff in and cleaning up. So that whole part of the country is still devastated.
Yeah.
The Biden administration on Monday released a strategy for building a nationwide network of charging stations for electric vehicles. Oh, really? Monday. The roughly $1 trillion infrastructure law President Joe Biden, Brandon, signed last month includes $7.5 billion to help build 500,000 EV charging stations across the U.S. and $65 billion for upgrades to the nation's electric grid. Thought you'd want to know that.
They were there when Biden was in Kentucky this week, and chants of "Let's go, Brandon" broke out while he was
Did
there.
it really?
Yes.
Let's go, Brandon.
I just want a question in case somebody can answer this. Once they build all these charging stations,
Yes.
who's going to own them?
Well, that maybe you. And I guess
We're going to pay for them, but I mean, who's going to actually own them and maintain them?
I don't know.
Because the maintenance of them is not going to be cheap.
No.
All right. Well, that's it for this segment of the In Wheel Time Car Show. We've got our last hour coming up, and we hope you'll stay tuned. We'll be right back. Because of inclement weather, the Tailpipes and Tacos December Cruise-In was canceled. Darn it. The winter returns in the spring. Expect a new and exciting way to enjoy the gathering. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's unique Saturday morning cruise-in, and with a new quarterly format, you'll have more time for car mods and to get ready for cruise-in trophies. Yup, you can compete for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and more. And the top car will be featured on a full-size poster that'll be used to promote the next event. Bragging rights are guaranteed here. Tailpipes and Tacos wants to thank all participants and visitors who made the event an exclusive, fun gathering of unique cars, trucks, hot rods, and lots of muscle. And we know you'll enjoy it even more in 2022. Tailpipes and Tacos will still be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, just south of I-10 at Kingsland Boulevard on 99, the Grand Parkway. Stay tuned right here to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, and we'll tell you the exact date for the next event. Until next time, be sure to visit the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, where you'll find the best fajitas this side of California. If you're in charge of your company's small, medium, or large business anywhere in the U.S., let the On Hold Company help you retain customers and promote your business on your telephone system. Promote special sales or company info when placed on hold. The On Hold Company provides custom on-hold messages with professional male or female voices, licensed background music with no long-term contract, no monthly recurring bill, and updates your messages as needed. Call the On Hold Company at 713-223-HOLD or go to onhold.net. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast?
You found it. You're listening or watching in real time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Real Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.